Hello, I'm taking on a challenge to beat every playable Nintendo published game. Welcome to the next episode. The next game is Sheriff. If you're like me, you've heard of this one already. Sheriff has its own microgame in WarioWare, and a full variation is unlockable as a side game. The main character also appears as an assist trophy in Smash, and if you play with items on, you'll know that he's one of the more broken ones. So, why is this one featured more often than many of these other games? I think part of it is that this is the first game I've played that doesn't feel like a complete rip-off of another game. As we'll see later, this one has a pretty innovative control scheme too. On the flyer for the game, Nintendo boasts that Sheriff is a story-enjoying game, and gives us a summary of the plot. The Sheriff must repeat mortal combats to rescue the beauty who is kidnapped by rogues, the Sheriff who wishes her rescue, and the beauty who is waiting for help. Where do their fates go? Will this story live up to the hype? There's only one way to find out. On the title screen, we get to see some of that story action. The Sheriff, whose official name is Mr. Jack, rides in on a horse, and we can see the lady, named Betty, being taken away by a bandit. After inserting your coins and selecting single player, you are thrown right into the action. While we can still see the influence of Space Invaders in this one, through its player shooting waves of enemy gameplay, you'll immediately notice the different perspective. The bandits have the Sheriff surrounded, and you can move in 8 different directions rather than just left and right. While you might normally expect you to just fire in the direction the player is facing, the game features a pressable dial for aiming and shooting. This allows you to aim in any direction you want, regardless of which way you are moving. It felt like an early precursor to dual-stick aiming, and as far as I can tell, there was nothing else quite like it on the market. To shake things up, occasionally some of the bandits would break through the barricade and become far more dangerous. Additionally, every now and then a condor flies by, similar to the UFO in Space Invaders, Space Fever, once again featuring its own jingle. After beating the level, we see a shot of the bandits chasing after Betty, and she lets out a cry for help. What a riveting story. Beating level 2 once again repeats the cutscene. Finally, after the 3rd level, you get the ending cutscene. Mr. Jack and Betty are reunited and embrace each other. A heart made out of hearts appear above them. What a romantic ending. In true arcade fashion, the game does not end here, and you get to keep going. While I was satisfied with this objective, I decided to see how far I could get. As the levels progressed, it took much longer for the ending to reoccur. Finally, after the 8th level, I saw the ending again. Interestingly, the levels go back to 1 here, so I guess that makes this the true ending of sorts. I made it to level 2 in this second loop before I was finally defeated, and with that, the game was complete. On to the review. For being the first game that wasn't a total ripoff, this one wasn't half bad. I really liked the separate aiming for movement, and despite how much I poked fun at the story, this one felt like it had a lot more character than the previous ones I played. That being said, this was still a relatively simple high score chaser, and it got repetitive pretty quickly. This one was probably my favorite so far, and while I ultimately gave it a 6 out of 10 still, it was pretty close to a 7. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more of these in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss out on the next one. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it, since it'll help my channel grow and motivate me to continue this series. I hope I will see you in the next step of my quest to beat every Nintendo game.